Hi, everyone. Welcome to day 28 of our Video Every Day in April challenge. I'm your host, Anna Larson of Nomadabout. This is my co host, Selena Conmackey of Howley Socially Inspired. And together we form our joint project, Anna and Selena, which is the go to place for website design, digital strategy, and more. Hi, Selena. How are you today?
Happy Thursday, the 28th. This is the
I know.
28th day of video
I
week.
can't even believe it. I can't believe it. 28 days of fabulous tips and tricks and hints and how-tos and just conversation, right? It's been a lot of fun, and I can't believe we only have, like, 2 days after today.
No, I know. And I love today's topic because I think everybody across the board feels it. And I think kind of what we're doing helps with that, right? And
Mhm.
the feelings. So,
I
um,
know it helps for us, right? Like, on our last day, we're gonna talk about some of the benefits of live streaming, and so I think you can count this as being one of them,
yeah.
right?
So this is today's topic.
Yeah.
Watching this.
Overcoming imposter syndrome.
Yeah, let us know. Have you felt it? Have you felt it multiple times? All the things. So,
Is it constant? I'm sure that there's some entrepreneurs, small business owners, people out there that are feeling like they're a little bit of a fraud. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what imposter syndrome is and give you just a couple of ways that you can start to overcome those feelings of self-doubt that you have.
yeah, absolutely, Anna. Why don't you dive into the first one?
Well, yeah. So before we really get started, I want to talk about what imposter syndrome is.
Mhm.
And so, what we're talking about today is basically it's when you, as a professional, are believing that you're not as capable, you're not skilled, you're not competent, or that somehow you don't rank as an expert in your field. But everyone else sees you that way. All see you in a certain way, but you yourself can't see that in yourself. And that's what imposter syndrome is. It's when you're feeling like, I am not as good as everyone tells me I am. And I think every professional goes through this at some point, where it doesn't matter what level of success you achieve, you start to doubt your ability or you worry or you have fears that you're going to fail at something that you're doing. And then that puts you in this state of, who I can't tell people I am this thing. I'm terrible at this, right? So, if you've ever felt this way, like we said, drop it in the comments because we'd love to hear from you. I can tell you right away, absolutely, I have felt this way. Selena, I'm sure you would say the same.
Yeah, I want to actually say the first 2 years is in my business. I felt it, and it prevented me from really taking on clients because I just thought, I know this first one is great, but I can't. There's no way I'm good enough for more, and I'm not good enough to have multiple. I'm not that. And yeah, it took a bit until one day I was like, okay. But again, then new tiers of imposter syndrome always
Mhm.
kind of like happens. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you do if you're feeling this way? Right. So, we have five little things that we would recommend that you do. And the very first one is what we just talked about, which is recognize that you are not alone. Everybody feels this way at some point. And it's not just a professional career, maybe as a parent or as a spouse or, in whatever it is that you're doing that's important to you, you might be feeling that way where it's just, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I don't have the skill set, whatever it is. So recognize you're not the only person that's ever felt that way. In fact, I would venture to say pretty much nearly everyone on the earth has felt that way,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, you just heard us both say we've also gone through that. So you're not alone. If you think, then maybe it's just us three. I mean, you know what I mean? So
Right, right.
you're not by yourself.
You wanna tell them the second little tip for overcoming?
Okay. So let go of any attempts to be a perfectionist and recognize your value and skill set and invest in, build, and celebrate those things. I'm going to just a perfect example is just today, I was actually co working with a friend at a coffee shop, and we were going through her processes, and the perfectionist thing kept getting at her, and she kept getting stuck on this like part of what we were working on. And we took a minute and we refocused that energy, and she was able to kind of finish like what she really wanted to do. And but it's that the perfectionist thing can really do a number on you in multiple ways. And one of them is thinking like, okay, if you're trying to achieve this perfect type of mentality, sometimes you'll never achieve it. So therefore your
Mhm.
mind is going to say, I'm not good enough if I can't get it perfect.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And that leads directly into the third one, which is that you need to always be open to continue learning new things. And what do I mean like this? Well, we just talked about being a perfectionist, but recognizing your skill sets. I hate to break it down to you, but you're not going to be the best at everything that you do. There's always going to be space to grow and improve and learn something new. And there's some things you simply will never master. I can tell you right away, I am never going to be a CPA ever. It, I mean, not only do I not have the desire to do that because numbers, they mess with my brain, but it's a skill set that does not come naturally. Now, if I really wanted to, could I go to school? Could I study? Yes, I could. But I recognize that that is not a skill set that I want to grow and improve on. And so it's okay for me to hand that off to someone else and say, here, that you are good at this. You're excellent at this. Please take this off of my plate.
No,
So that would be number 3.
I think that's a good point, right? Is recognizing when it's a good time to outsource. So it stops you from trying to be a perfectionist, like Anna was just saying, how they all tie in together. Uh,
Yeah,
Good point, friend. Good point.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the next one ties right into what we've been talking about too.
Yeah. Why don't you take that one and I'll take our last one?
Okay, so the next one is that you also want to invest in yourself. So when there is something that's available, a new opportunity, that you take a chance on yourself, that you don't just say, oh, no, I don't think I can do that. Go ahead and take a chance. I can tell you that Selena and I build WordPress websites. We're not an expert in some of the other website platforms. We have not worked on them as much, but there have been jobs that we've taken on other platforms because we want to try it, right? And we're very upfront with the client. Hey, we're not experts at this. We don't know exactly what we're doing here. So we're gonna figure it out, right? So there's a promise guarantee of an excellent product at the end, but we're very clear that we're going to muddle our way through some of this just to start until we've learned and invested in ourselves in this new skill. And as part of that, I would say when you have those opportunities and you achieve what you're trying for, I want to see it posted somewhere. I want you to share that success. I want you to make sure that you're recognizing what you've been able to do with your time and your effort and share that with people. I think that's super important part of investing in yourself.
No, so true. And it is hard when you're feeling the imposter syndrome though, right? To celebrate the wins, but it is important, and hopefully you kind of like flick off that like negative energy Nancy that's right here that says, no, don't celebrate. Do celebrate. Celebrate
Well,
all the
I think if you're consistent in recognizing the great things you do, it helps ward that imposter syndrome off in some ways. Maybe not completely, but it does help keep it at bay because, when you're posting, I'm great at this. Guess what I accomplished over here? Guess what new opportunity I have over here, right? Like it just reminds you that you're a pretty awesome person.
no, very true. So like Anna says, invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like, but just take time for yourself. All right. The last thing, but we have another thing that we're going to talk about. I was telling Anna, call a friend. Um, I cannot tell you how many times I've been the friend for another and I've needed the friends. Anna has gotten many calls or text messages from me when I've been feeling down, like I'm not good enough at what we're doing or this or that. Right. So, hi. And I I just reach out to somebody just to kind of help you get out of that plane. Oh,
Yeah.
that you're on because you just don't, having a friend, having somebody, a business mentor. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, so having a business mentor that can kind of step in and guide your thought processes, remind you of your value, remind you of what worth you hold in your play, in what you do, I think is super important. because often we believe others more than we believe ourselves, right? So that's a huge one. Well, so those are our 5 tips today for overcoming imposter syndrome. If you're feeling imposter syndrome right now, like we mentioned earlier, drop a message in the comments because I will go and peruse your space and I will say, guess what? I think you're amazing in this way, this way, and this way. This is what I see in you.
Yeah.
So you're
And
welcome to be that friend.
you also have something about you have something in our shared thing that you want to pop up. Are we going to mention
Oh.
that?
Oh, yeah, we totally can.
Yeah.
So I recently wrote an article for LinkedIn, actually. Let me add it to the stream here. So Selena and our friend Annette and I had the opportunity to meet Rebecca Contreras. And Rebecca has a very interesting story. She's the child of a drug addicted mother and grew up without a father and had a very rough start to her life. And yet, despite that, she managed to overcome and she got a job with the state and then began working for the then governor of Texas, who eventually took her with him to the White House. This would be George Bush took her with him to the White House. And so her whole story is about how she never felt like she was good enough to be where she was at and was continually surprised at the recognition she received from these people, powerful, important people in the United States and in the world that recognized and would say to her just even little things like, "Thank you for being so kind in that moment. Thank you for doing this." And as we talked to her, I asked her the question. I said, "Rebecca, what is it you think that they recognize in you?" And what she said, I really love. She said, "I always gave a little bit extra. I always tried to just go that tiny little bit more. And I was always kind." And it was just one of those things where I was like, if everyone had practiced this in the world, like what a better place it would be, kind of thing. But Rebecca felt imposter syndrome her entire life. And
Mhm,
that was what it took for her to overcome it, was just to continue to remind herself that
mhm.
she is going to be kind, she's going to go the extra mile. And then that was enough for her to eventually achieve really, really amazing things.
Yeah.
So,
No,
but
we
yeah,
were so surprised when we sat there listening to her. The minute she talked about, she talked about her achievements, and we were just like, wow, this is so great, like seeing where she had come from. But then when she's saying, like, she's sitting in the White House and she's managing, I think it was 1,000 people were under her at that time.
yeah,
And she's like, there's this like moment that you just think like, I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough. And you're like, no, but you've worked so hard to lead up to that. Like, so I think it just shows, right? Like, at all levels of success, you feel
yeah,
it. And she just shared with us, and Anna and I just were like, whoa, it happens.
yeah. I just think it was poignant to think, hey, if she feels that way, then me feeling that way is not so, it's normal. We'll go back to the very first tip. Recognize you're not alone in feeling
Yeah,
this way, you
yes,
know.
for sure.
So anyway,
Yeah.
well, hopefully you enjoyed our tips for overcoming imposter syndrome. If you get a chance, you can check out Rebecca Contreras. She's doing a lot of amazing things, especially with girls,
Mhm.
um, in and you know in troubling situations.
Yeah.
So we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow and then Saturday for our very last 30-day challenge for April.
I'm sad, but I'm a little relieved. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie. Be nice for a
right.
break.
A little relieved.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right,
See you
everyone.
tomorrow.
Thanks.